right. And with that, I'll call this meeting into order. First off, I want to just go over the minutes from the last meeting and put a motion in to approve those and send them to the record. Do I hear a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Lisa, aye.
Matt, aye. And I saw Eric say aye. All right. All right, so just two quick things I want to just put on for our minutes and our notes. Some updates and check-ins with the Tree City. I've reached out to Mark Faber, haven't heard back yet, but I will, as soon as I get something from him, we'll schedule and put something on the docket for an upcoming agenda. As for the Old Growth Network, I'm gonna look at Lisa and ask, I think we're good to go ahead and sign up for it, as far as I know from the select board. So I'm under my understanding is that we're okay to just sign up for it.
I think Sarah sent a letter, Sarah from the Old Growth Network sent a letter today to the select board.
Okay.
Just to keep the process moving.
Okay.
We've received the letter and I will have the chairman of the select board sign it as soon as she can come in.
Great.
Perfect. All right. Moving on. So Ice Glen, in the email I sent out with all the documents, we got a copy of an RFP or a sample, a template that we could use. But I wanted, Michael, if you could just talk about what we as the commission need to be concerned about when making the addendums or the type, however we want to phrase it in the
well, actually they're asking for a quote in there to treat per based on each tree that's treated. So I think that would be the way it's set up. Is they set it up so they can do as many trees as possible. So I think it's already pretty much set up where we're not going to have to do addendums. We're just going to identify the cost and then do as many trees as we can within what we have. So I did like the way they have it set up. Now they have 3 options. We're only going with option 2, correct?
As far, excuse me, it's option or treatment type 1, which is the basil bark spray.
Oh, it is. All right, the bark spray. I wasn't sure if it was the spray or the injection.
So does that mean we need to remove those options from any RFP that we're submitting?
No, if you wanted to leave them in there, you could. I wasn't sure about the 3rd one because we never really discussed it. I know the first 2 we have discussed. So if you want to leave the first 2 in, it just gives us the option of getting the price per quantity as established. I was surprised how thin that RFP is from the state, but if the state's using it, then I think the town, we can use it, and then we'll put our standard contract language and then get it out to bid.
So I had one question. At the last meeting where Ken was present at the select board meeting, he said the price was actually less than what he originally thought, correct? And the thought was that we could then treat more trees with the funding that it was approved by the town, which is great. I wondered though, the suppression funding is a matching grant. So I didn't know if it made any sense to save some of that approved funding to put it towards the match for the suppression. Do people understand?
I don't I didn't get the impression that we were going to save a tremendous amount. I got the impression we'd save a little bit, expanding slightly on the amount of trees. At least that was my impression. Maybe I.
Okay. Do you remember?
No.
That?
Yeah, that was my impression. Like it's not going to be a tremendous savings, but that's also based on doing a lot more trees. Because I remember when we were doing the original math with Eric was Johnny on the spot with the numbers. I think we did it for like 150 trees at the DBH, the average DBH, and that's how we came up with the 70,000. But it sounded like since the price had gone down, we can do a lot more of the poor condition trees because the price has gone down.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So my inclination is to remove those other treatment types since we didn't discuss those originally. The injection and the soil, it looks like soil drench, to make sure that it is just what we talked about, a basal. Because from my understanding was the basal was the best option just because it would provide us a 1 to 2 year protection. And that with the injection, I'm not sure about. And I'm not sure it would be the right timing, just from what the expert said.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Eric, you're on mute.
Thanks. The injection is a lot more expensive, as the forester explained.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think we should include those then, because that's just we're gonna do fewer trees and each tree is gonna be more expensive.
I agree.
Michael, do we have to edit this document before we send it to you, or is this something we should just vote on or need to vote on, or is this something that can just be edited?
No, it's very easy for me to just go in and edit, take out 2 and 3.
Okay.
And then placing it out there just so the state did, put it on combine, registry, and the rest, and then quotes in. So it could be something we have out next week. So
You were breaking up a little there. Can you just repeat that end part there?
yeah, I can definitely have this up by next week. I'll just eliminate number 2 and number 3.
Okay. Did anyone else have anything they saw in the document?
I do have 2 more things related to Ice Glen though, before we move
Okay.
on.
All right. Yep.
Did we invite Laurel Hill to the meeting? Just to let them know that this was.
Yes, and I haven't gotten any response.
Okay, but do they know that this is happening?
Yeah, I mean, I sent an email and I copied Matt, and I said what's going on, and that we'd love to have them here, and no response. I also asked if they would be willing to share with us the report, that the forest stewardship plan that they got for their adjoining properties, but I haven't got a response at all.
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna just call one of them on the board.
How about for the Old Growth Network? Should we be letting them know about that also?
Yeah, I think just as a courtesy, I mean, because they pushed for it the first time.
Okay, so because Sarah wondered whether she should send them a letter also, so I'll ask her to just send them a letter. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and it'd be nice too if they do respond. We'll get them on an agenda at some point here, just to have them come and talk and share with us. Okay, Michael, do you need anything? Oh, we have a question. Yeah.
Yeah, this is, let me introduce myself first. I'm Kevin Foran. My nickname is Moose, and I'm with the Stockbridge Bowl Association, and I am managing the forests over in Bullard Woods. And as you may or may not know, there's an old stand of growth there, probably about 6 acres. And I'm just joining in on a meeting to discover how we can take advantage of your commission here to assist us with our old growth property management. There's roughly a 6 acre stand of old growth trees there. And it just seems appropriate that we learn as much as we can about what you guys are doing that can support us. So my question really is how can I make that connection? This is step one, obviously.
This is definitely the right place. If you can put your information in the chat.
Okay.
And I'll reach out to you and we'll talk and see if we can get you your own agenda item at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is definitely we'd love to. I'll love to chat with you and we can connect and see what the commission can do.
Okay, appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming.
Those are beautiful woods.
They are.
Yeah.
We want to keep them for everybody. Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. All right. Anything else about Ice Glen?
Oh, just
yeah.
Ken had recommended Mike Morey to be the forester there. And
oh yeah.
Bring that to this committee. I think I commented that I don't know him personally, but he's got a great reputation, and I think he has worked closely with Bob in other old growth woods. So I would recommend him to be the whatever forestry we do in that area, that it be Mike Morey.
Yeah, Shelby, is this, do you know Mike?
No, I don't, but he certainly sounds like he'd be the right fit for the Ice Glen. Yeah, and we may well want to use him for other forests as well. Just
has he worked on Ice Glen before?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Is this in addition? I have a question. In addition to the forester that we've already had review Ice Glen?
Who was that? Oh,
the person that wrote the report.
That's Ken. Ken, he evaluated it in terms of the
right.
Elgid.
Yeah.
He didn't evaluate it from a forestry perspective.
Yeah, my understanding is he's not a licensed forester or has not kept up his license.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
I think this is, if we do a stewardship plan for Ice Glen, I would recommend.
Yeah, and the state has a list of foresters who basically they approve to do stewardship plans, and he's on that list. This guy is on that list. Ken, I don't think Ken is.
Yeah, Ken's not a licensed forester.
All right.
Do we need to make a motion to have him be the forester, or do we just agree? Or?
I think this is what we're going to put down, right? In for the grant, the funding. I think, Mike, just to make sure we're doing this all right, if we just able to recommend him? We cannot, right? We're just going to recommend.
Correct. You're going to recommend him to the select board to be appointed as a forester. Yep.
Okay.
And I think someone has to reach out to him too and make sure he's
right
willing to do it.
Yeah.
Which I think he will be. I do think he will be.
Yeah, probably now that you have the recommendation from this board, reach out to him and confirm, and then before we put it on the agenda for the select board to make it public through them that it's official.
And Mike, have you seen the application form? I mean, basically, it's optional to name the forester who you're going to use, but it's nice to be able to put a name in there.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I'll put a motion forward that we recommend Mike Moore, correct?
Maury.
Mike Maury.
I think it's Maury.
We'll recommend Mike Maury as the forester to work with for Ice Glen and grants. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye, Eric.
And aye, Matt. All right. Shelby, did you have the contact information for Mike? Or did
no,
Lisa?
I think Lisa had that. I think. Oh, well then it's probably on the. I'll check what we. It may well be in the list. In the the document that I got from the forestry plan website.
If you can get that to me, I'll reach out and send him an email.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving forward. Stewardship grants. I figured we'd just get caught up on what you guys have been working on and working towards. Lisa and Shelby.
Go ahead, Shelby.
Okay, sure. I pulled the various documents, relevant documents together, and Lisa and I talked about it. So I went through. If you recall, Patrick sent us a spreadsheet that listed all of the town-owned parcels. So the stewardship grant is for 10 acres or more. So I went through all of the properties that are 10 acres or more on the GIS map, and identified a handful of them that I think are worth our going for getting stewardship plans. There are a couple that are contiguous that are smaller than 10 acres each, but they're in the watershed surrounding Averick Lake. So I think they're important. So I'm hoping that we could basically combine all the properties that are contiguous or right around Averick Lake into one grant application. And it's the rest of them are way over the limit. So I suspect that it'll be okay. But anyway, I shared that list with Lisa, and I'm happy to pass it on with everybody.
And I had commented that anything that's a wetland or near a wetland, the Conservation Commission,
right?
And I would want to be careful about what we're managing for on those sites, other than protecting water quality.
Yeah, and one of your items is landowner goals. That's something a form that we get from the forester when we start. And if you look at it, you can see that there's just, we can just say we're not interested in a bunch of things. We are interested in a bunch of other things, and basically ecological health and diversity being our primary concerns. The wetland thing is interesting because the property has to be primarily forested in order for it to qualify for a forest stewardship grant. So there are a couple of parcels that have wetlands in them, but they are mainly forest. And clearly, what Lisa raised about Concom is important. There are a couple of properties that I saw were mainly wetlands, so I didn't even put them on our list of recommended properties to go after because they don't have enough forested land to qualify.
I have a question. The suppression, or I'm sorry, the grant we're talking about, isn't that only like $2,000?
Well, no, there's a floor that it starts at for the first 10 acres, and then there's a rate for every acre thereafter. And so I know that, like with the forester who Laurel Hill Association used, he ended up saying the state match wouldn't quite cover all of his costs because he likes to produce a detailed report with a map. And so I think that they ended up charging an extra couple $1,000 or something to the Laurel Hill Association. So once we have a forester on board and do a walkthrough on the properties, the forester may well say, I can do everything for the cost of the match. We might say, I need to get a little bit more from the town to cover my cost.
And you were recommending Peter Tucker to do this?
Oh, just Jess Toro, who was the person who told me about this plan in the first place, the whole program. For those who don't know, she runs Native Habitat Restoration, a company in town that does pretty much what it sounds like. She recommended Peter. He lives in Alford and he's real good. But so I just didn't look further. But I think that for our needs, specifically for Ice Clan, we should go with somebody who's been recommended in terms of old growth forest.
Yeah, that's fine with me. But Peter, I think if Jess recommended Peter on the other sites, that would be fine.
So
I guess,
Shelby, just to clarify, what's the scope of roughly acreage we're looking at?
Yeah.
Roughly speaking.
So let me open up my document here. And this is where, we need to decide if we want to go after all this in what, this year, or we space them out. Mm-hmm. There's a 275 acre lot that is up off of Route 102 near the West Stockbridge boundary. It's kind of Stockbridge Mountain. It actually is a forest that's contiguous with a Laurel Hill Association property. That's the biggest. Then the Aberclake kind of watershed, we've got 169 acre, another that's a 113 acre, 67 acre, and there's another, and then there are these three little ones, a 9 acre, 7.5 acre, and a 1 acre.
That's all continuous?
Yeah, they basically just surround the lake. A couple of them are on one side of the road, a couple of them on the other, but they basically just, they're right around the lake. Then we've got Gould Meadow, which is 94.8 acres. And I don't know if enough of it is forested to qualify. There's also a little bit of a wetland inside it. So that we need to look at it, maybe ask the Friends of Gould Meadow, who are dealing with it. Oh, Aberclake, there's another 67 acre bit. Ice Clan, by the way, is 63 acres. And then there's another 35 acres that abuts that first one I mentioned. It's 275 acres. There's another 35 acre piece that is next to it. There's a little property that's 22 acres that is just north of Lily Pond. It includes wetland, but it also, I think it has a couple of streams that run through it that feed Lily Pond. So it seems like, this might be worth taking care of. We got the Old Town Dump. I don't even know if that's worth looking at, but it's 16 acres. And there's something that I've never heard of before, the George Ripley Natural Area. It's 14.5 acres. It's on Devon Road. It has some wetland in it. So I thought, well, that's curious. Maybe we should check that out.
So I guess my question is, thinking about this application, what are our priorities then? Because it seems like there's a lot of possibilities. I know that there's been a forester, I think, working on that Route 102 area already, doing some timber, I've heard, but I can confirm that. So I guess what is the goal? What do we want to tackle this year? Because it feels like it's a lot.
I think we ought to focus on, Matt, I think we ought to focus on Ice Glen, since that's what got us here in the first place. And, you know, there's always another year. And I don't know that there's all that much money in those grants.
Shelby, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm looking at the document now for the reimbursement. Is that, and that's what it is? It's a reimbursement?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it says over 500 acres is about $9,575. And
that's, but keep in mind, that's for a specific property. That's not in total.
Gotcha.
Each property is going to be a separate application. So contiguous properties, we can put contiguous properties together in one application. But like the Averick Lake stuff, that's one application. You know,
that's one. Okay.
I think a couple things. One, I think anything with a wetland is going to take a while to get approval. So I see that as more of a longer term, but I think it's worth doing at least one to go through the process and, you know, learn about the process, learn about the property, and then, you know, possibly do more next year.
That's my gut is saying is stick with Ice Glen. Let's write a really good one, because I feel like Ice Glen is also going to be a very unique case. You know, it's going to, because it's an old growth, and then later on we can go do some of these other ones that are more, I'm thinking might be more quote unquote conventional forestry with like the 102. I do have an email out with, I think a long time ago when we just got settled, Mike Bofoni said that they were doing some work on the 102 property, and he has done work on the 102 property. So I might reach out to him and see if he can come and fill us in and get us caught up, because I sound like there was a forester that they had on that. And maybe that's something next year, because that's a big parcel, if I'm not correct, Shelby.
Yeah, that's the biggest one we've got.
That's the biggest one we have. And that seems like that's been used for timber.
Well, yeah. So, and that's an interesting point. I mean, we may, among us, we may not know what the historical uses have been of these various properties. So, we need to get some history on them before we, you know, start saying this is what should be done.
Right.
And yeah, I agree. I mean, Ice Glen is the only one that's really urgent. The rest of them, you know, we can kind of take our time, learn about them, and decide, you know, do 2 or 3 a year or something with this. You know.
Well, let's if we can compile the list you've created, and maybe a spreadsheet, that way we can have it as a reference for years future projects. But I'm leaning toward, let's just keep it with Ice Glen for now. And I'm seeing Lisa nod. I don't think we have to vote on that. I think that's, let's just narrow that scope right now. So with that being said, is it possible to get a draft of this put together and then have it pretty soon?
And that's Mike. The question for you: there's really almost nothing to do on the application. It's basically, you know, we have to identify the name of the property, you know, but then the rest of it is, you know, identifying the landowner, which is the town. So, you know, name, mailing address, daytime phone, evening phone, email, and so it seems like, you know, if Lisa or I put in, you know, the information about the Ice Glen, can we pass it on to you and then you fill out the rest of it as far as the town info?
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
All right, let's send that to Mike, because Mike, you guys are meeting, the select board's meeting this week, right? Thursday, July 17th.
Yes, we are.
Not that this could necessarily be, I don't even know if it needs to go to the select board.
No, these, we've already discussed these. These we would just move ahead with.
Okay.
So the only thing I think we need to bring back is just the appointment of the forester if we're going to do it now. So.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Shelby, why don't you and I talk tomorrow and we'll.
Sounds great.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And I'm, the next thing on the agenda was the landowner goals, but I'm assuming that will come up later. Now that we've narrowed it, we can talk about Ice Glen when we have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted people to see the form so that just to put to rest any concerns about how, this might push us toward logging. It's really not. We you can see from the different items that, the different goals that are possible. It's really up to us to say, this is what we care about, or which things we care about, which things we don't.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Final thing, suppression grants. On that note, I just wanted to get an update and figure out where we are and what we still have to do with that. Lisa?
So,
I see.
I don't have an update.
Okay.
Talked to the people I talked to prior to the last meeting, and the person that took Ken's place had told me we would have a better chance of getting the funding if we connected with either other towns or tree warden or another association, but Ken didn't think that was true. He thought it had its own merit. So the information I have is that the new applications will come out in September and they're due in November.
Okay.
And, she had sent me the original application, but I don't know how different that will be. And I also don't know, Michael, how you want to do. Is the town filling out that application, or how do you want us to proceed?
I'll have to take I have to get a little more familiar with that one. I really haven't looked at that at all.
Okay. If you need me to send it again, I can. And it's
just I haven't had the time to go over that with the closeout of the grants for last fiscal year, which I've been in the process of,
sure.
And that. So
it's a one page check off, and then there's a narrative. So we would need exact numbers for the checkoff page in terms of what's being treated and all of that. So we'd have to get the more specific information. But it does not look like a very detailed application.
All right. I'll make sure to take a look at it before the next meeting that we have, and we can discuss it further then. So sometime that should give us time.
And Nicole had said, when we have this filled out, to send it to her directly before we send it to, I think it goes to New Hampshire or to Durham field office. But she said she'd be happy to take a look at it and just make sure it looks good before it gets sent out.
All right, I'll reach out to you and we'll take a look at it further before the next one. How's that?
That sounds good. Thank you. But we don't have the actual application yet. I have last year. So
I was just going to say, so
last year will give us an idea of what to do.
Okay.
All right. So if Lisa, you connect with Michael, and then we'll just make sure in September, we'll figure out our meeting maybe around that, so that we have the new application in hand. If hopefully it'll just be on the 1st, and then we'll just have it for our first meeting.
Yep, and we'll probably need Ken for some of this too.
Okay, we'll make sure that I'll reach out to Ken to see if he's available around that time, if he's prepared. That being said, is there anything else that we need to update on? All right, hearing nothing else. For our next meeting, also, I just want to make sure, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Moose.
Moose.
Okay. I did send a chat. I'm not sure if it got to you.
I just want to make sure we got your info before I leave. I did not get anything. Did anyone else get something? Did it go to someone else?
I'm not sure.
You should, there's the chat button at the bottom of the
Yeah,
window.
I did that. I've never used chat. Here's chat right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got chat right now. I don't want to take up your time here, but.
No, it's all right.
Okay, but I'm not seeing where I should be typing in anything.
At the bottom, it would say type message here.
Well, that's what I'm not seeing.
If you just start typing, it might just be.
You could always just do an email.
Yeah.
Email addresses are on.
Now, give me your email address, Matt.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Why don't you send it to Boudreau, BOUDREAU.
I got it.
215 at gmail.com.
Gmail?
Gmail.
Okay, I got it.
And then I'll send you my town email.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Matt.
No, thank you. All right. That being said, our next meeting, I just want to confirm, first Monday would technically be August 2nd. That's only a 2-week window. Do we want to push it back further? Or do we want to get back on track?
Today's the 12th.
The 12th.
Is it 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
Yeah, because we pushed back an extra week because of the holiday.
But isn't the second 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Technically the beginning of the third. Yeah, it's 3 weeks. 3 weeks, sorry.
Why don't we hold it on schedule?
All right. So August 2nd, 6:30.
Zoom or live?
And that's the last question. Do we want to actually meet in person?
I'd prefer not.
Prefer not. Mike, can we still do the Zoom / meet in person if you're available to set it up?
Yes, and I can. Yes, we can set it up in the room. We have a Zoom camera set up, so we can have some people there live and in person, and others can Zoom into the meeting. So
Perfect.
It's a very simple touch screen control system that's very easy to use.
It's a very nice big screen. I saw it for the first time. All right, so I will be there, but don't feel like you have to. Otherwise, we'll have the Zoom link set up, and we'll see each other in August.
Great.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Probably out.
Wait, you need to make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, geez. Yes. Thank you. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Nice meeting you guys.
Nice meeting you.